Well, I thought it was time for another fountain pen shootout. And today I thought what we would do is something that I was hoping I'd be able to do a comparison between two Edisons. There's the Edison Collier and then the Collier Grande. I got a couple of requests for this, but I sold my Collier, and so I couldn't do it. So in a nutshell, my first contact with Edison pens face-to-face was at the DC Pen Show in 2012. Brian and Andrea are incredibly friendly, nice people. I bought a Collier from them, and I used that for a couple of years. I ended up selling it, and then I want to say recently, but at this point it's not that recent anymore, they released the Collier Grande, which is just a larger version of the Grande. Here we have a Pilot Metropolitan for size comparison. The Collier is already a larger pen. The Grande is really a much larger pen, I would say. And Appelboom lent me this limited edition Garolite, so I know the materials are different, but I really wanted to focus, as I typically do in shootouts, focus on some differences and some commonalities in the writing experience. So not really focus on the materials, because you can get them in any material you like. Now the Garolite's a limited edition. It goes on the Appelboom website for €239 and 67 cents. Sorry, it's been a long day. You can buy these in any nib you like, extra fine, fine, medium, broad, as well as 1.1 millimeter stub. Number 6 steel nibs. You can also, I believe, upgrade them to gold nibs, but then you have to go through Edison, I believe. In any case, here we have the Collier Grande, which goes for $325 US. You can convert this to whatever currencies you prefer. This one's a little bit more expensive. It has $100 extra because it has the draw filler. So the filling systems are different. But if you don't like that, you can just buy it as is for $325, and then you get a cartridge converter filled pen. The advantage of these is that you can also eyedropper them. So if you really want a big capacity, you don't like the draw filler, you don't want to spend the extra $100, you could eyedropper it, and that tends to work as well. Okay, so as I said, Collier, larger model. Let's quickly go over some things. I have reviewed this pen, I have reviewed the Grande, I have reviewed my own Collier as well many years ago. But again, a somewhat larger pen, exclamation mark clip. I've always liked the shape. That's a little bit bulbous in the cap, and I think it's a very pleasant size that works for a lot of people. So this would be the regular Collier. Again, many materials available. This happens to be Garolite, but you could also get it in a material like this, basically any acrylic you like. Number 6 Jowo nib. They do get a laser engraving of, I think it's a fairly cute Edison logo. It's a plastic feed, and these are cartridge converter filled. Now, because this is the Garolite, I'm not sure if you want to eyedropper that, but with the acrylics, you can eyedropper them. You get a large ink capacity because it's a fairly big barrel, and that's pretty much it. I've always liked this hourglass shaped section. I think it is very comfortable, and I like using it. It's a good size pen. It does not post. You don't try to post it. It does not post. But as I said, I think for a lot of people this size works well, even though it is a little bigger. That hourglass gets fairly fine, so it's comfortable to hold for a lot of different hand sizes, I would say. What else did I want to say about it? There is a bit of a step down there. I don't think it's anything huge, but it is there, and some people really dislike step downs. I will say these threads, I can feel them. They're a little sharp, but only if I do this. I don't typically do this on pens. When I'm just holding it, I don't feel any sharpness or any unpleasantness or anything that is distracting from the writing experience. So, pretty good. I will do a writing sample, of course, in just a second. Then we have the Grande, which again, it really makes sense to show them side by side. So here we have the Grande. The Grande is definitely a larger pen. I will try to uncap them both and hope they won't roll off the desk. And just brace that a little bit there. Yeah, good enough. The Grande is a bigger pen, and it is mainly bigger in girth, a little bit of length, and it has a number 8 nib. So the nib is definitely bigger. These are, from what I understood, the nibs made by Magna Carta in India. Now, there are some advantages to this pen overall for me. First of all, it is bigger, and for me, it's really a perfect size. You still get the hourglass-shaped section. As I said, this is a draw filler, so this is not a cartridge-converter. You have a system like this. Some people really like that. Also, someone once said, I found the Edison pens, have you found Edison pens to be very thin? I don't know, does this look particularly thin to you? Like that I wouldn't have that concern. Nice size, comfortable, bigger, and certainly girthier. I find this really pleasant to use. Also, the step down seems a little less pronounced on this model. That could just be the material that makes it look that way. I also find these threads, actually they're the same, feel the same. Again, only when I do this, I actually really feel them. Once I'm writing, I don't feel those threads at all. The larger number 8 nib is quite nice. This has an actual engraving of the logo as opposed to a laser engraving. And by the way, not gold, still steel, just gold colored, gold plated maybe, but it is a steel nib. You do get an ebonite feed with this, which is nice, very good flow characteristics. So that is really quite pleasant, I think. Okay. Still doesn't post, won't do that, but it is nice to use, and I do find them very, very comfortable. So what we should do next is look at these two pens side by side and see how they write. Now, when I did the review of the Edison, I was writing on the back cover of the notebook, and it seemed a little scratchy. So I thought what we would do today is make sure I have some paper, backing paper, and we will start with the regular Edison. I'll zoom in a little bit. I'll try to do it side by side. I did put in the same inks. They're not the same nibs. It's just the way it is. So here we have the Collier in a 1.1 millimeter nib. This is a fun nib. It's not the wettest of nibs I've ever used, but it is pretty pleasant. 1.1 millimeter stub, not 1.1, sorry, stub nibs, they tend to add a bit of character to your handwriting. And of course, being a stub, you also get natural line variation, which you would not have with a round nib. That's just this nib, though. You can get it with a round nib, extra fine, fine, medium, broad, whatever you like. So I mean, that's not really a selling point. I still find this a pleasant pen. It's a good size. It's pleasant to use. As I said, I think a lot of people would find this a pleasant size. So all of that is great. If we compare this to the Grande, which I happen to have here, there's a couple of things I notice. It's the same ink. This is a round, broad nib, and you can immediately see in this particular case the nib is wetter and it's more saturated. I have not adjusted this nib in any way. This is the way it came out of the box. Nice, saturated, fairly wet, round, so no natural line variation unless you start to push down on it a bit. It's not a flex nib, you can do that a little bit. I find this pen more comfortable. So in my judgment, and this is very personal, I think a lot of people would love the Collier. I think it is a very good size for pretty much everyone. Whether you have larger hands, smaller hands, I think everyone can use it. If you like something bigger, the Collier Grande is certainly the way to go. As the name suggests, it is bigger. But that increased size, to me, has made it a lot more comfortable than the Collier. So if you like larger pens, if you have bigger hands, I would absolutely recommend that pen. It will be a bit more expensive, especially if you upgrade the filling system, although as I said, you don't have to, you can just use a cartridge converter with it. Otherwise, I found it to be just a bit more pleasant to me, but that's just me. the added girth, the added length makes the pen really perfect for me. So if you're in the market for a larger pen, you want to pick from a nice material, you have to, this is not in their production line, so you do have to go to, I think they call it the signature line. You have to go to Edison directly. You can't buy these from shops that carry Edison, like say Appelboom, right? You can get the Colliers there, but not the Collier Grandes. And that can mean there's a little bit of a lead time and all that stuff. But the Greys, they will take care of you. They'll make the pen. You can pick all these materials. I've had really, really positive experiences with this pen company. So anyway, I thought this comparison might be interesting to people if you're in doubt as to which one to buy. I hope this is useful, and that's all there's to it. So thank you. See you next time. Bye.